Hey gamers, in this episode, we're going to talk about getting your plot off the ground. Hey gamers, welcome back to Game Master's Dungeon. I am Brian, your Game Master, and today we are going to talk about how to get your plot off the ground by talking about your setting, your theme, and your mood that you're all going to have to choose for your plot. And this is going to help you determine several decisions that we're going to talk about in later videos. But just know that this is very important at this step of designing your game. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button. Also, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell icon to get instant notifications when I post new videos. So with that said, let's get into it. Hey gamers, so welcome back. So in this video, we're going to talk about the three things that you're going to need to develop for your game, for your plot, right? So you've got your plot, what your stories, what's going to happen in your story. So let's come up with an example. Say I'm going to develop a plot, and my plot is that the player characters, maybe there was an NPC or a character or somebody that was involved with the NPC or with the PCs that maybe falls from grace, or gets cast out of the group, and then it's like a revenge kind of setting. So in the end, this person will become the antagonist, right? Will become the villain, and the players will have to fight off this antagonist, this former friend of theirs. Okay, so that's just a quick plot, just as an example, so we can go through this. So the first thing then we're going to want to talk about in this plot is going to be the setting. So the setting is like where and when your story is going to take place, right? So this plot that we've just come up with the whole, the former friend becoming the villain, the revenge, that kind of thing, that can be set medieval times. You could have it sci-fi, fantasy, on a far-off world. The question is then, where are you going to want to set your story? Like, you think of, okay, if science fiction, if maybe you don't really understand that, or you don't like science fiction and you like medieval sword and sorcery kind of stuff, choose something that you're comfortable with, and a setting that may, and also all of your players, maybe talk to all your players as well and be like, hey guys, I got this idea, would you like to play science fiction? Do you want to play fantasy? Do you want to play something modern? Do you want to play something in anything in between? Kind of get their feedback and see what they've got to say. The reason why the setting is so important is because it's going to affect some decisions that we're going to talk about in later videos, but also it's going to change the way that people will act, that people will do things. Like in modern days, like today in 2018, people conduct themselves way differently than they did 200 years ago. So if you're going to set your game in a different setting other than what we're in now, make sure you do some research of maybe how things did, or things were done. If you're playing an older setting, if you're playing a more future setting, I guess you can really just do really whatever. But I would definitely look at some movies or some books that are written in those kind of settings and time periods, just to kind of get a basis. Because you always want to remember the suspension of disbelief. This is going to be another video we're going to talk about later, but the suspension of disbelief is basically people are like, oh, if something fantastic happens, can they just be like, it's okay, it's part of the game? Or they're going to be like, nah, that's impossible, and hold on, you can't do that, right? You want them to be able to just set, the miraculous and the wild ideas aside and just stay in the game. Okay, so the next topic then we're going to talk about is your theme. Now the theme, some people might mistake for something else, but really what the theme is what is your story, right? What is your game going to be about? A really good example, Star Trek. That line that they use in the beginning, going where no man has gone before, that's the theme. It's supposed to say, okay, what would happen if these people go to these lands or these planets and meet these people that no one else has ever interacted with? What kind of adventures, what kind of stories are going to come out of that? Okay, so now for your game, you're going to want to think of a theme as well. Like, what's going to be like the overarching idea? Okay, in our plot, right, we've got the revenge, but really, what is it going to be about? I mean, is it just like he was a good guy, now he's a bad guy, now my new good guys and my bad guy fight and game over? No, is it going to be about redemption? Is this person going to find redemption, see the error in his ways, and come back to the good side? Is it going to be about vanquishing just a threat? Can't be saved. He not having it. We're going to have to kill him off. What are going to be the moral aspects of that? He was a friend. You can't turn him, but you've got to stop him. It's either you capture him or you kill him or her. Whatever. And then that theme then is going to set how a lot of things in your story are going to go, like the moral dilemmas that your players are going to have to deal with, and you're definitely going to want to set up those as well, especially there at the end. Like if it's maybe in our plot, the heroes don't know that the villain was their former friend. That's obviously happened time and time again, but it's a really good climax of a story, because especially if you can pull it off on your players and they don't see it coming. Excuse me. Because then they're like totally surprised, and now they're like, oh God, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to kill this guy? Like he was our friend kind of thing, right? So that's going to be your theme. Think about what your the overall idea of your story is going to be. All right, so lastly, we're going to talk about the mood for your story. The mood is like how people, characters, conduct themselves. A good example would be, is your game going to be PG? Is it going to be rated R? Or is it going to be rated M? So that's one of the things you're going to have to talk about with your players. Like, what are your players comfortable in playing? Like, if they like a little, if it's like a little bit of violence, or, a little bit of, adult themes and things like that. Or if people are fine with, lust and, sex and death and murder and all this other stuff that go on even today, are they willing to play in a world that has that stuff that your characters interact with? Or do they want just, the heroics and things like that? So definitely the mood is going to need to be talked about with your players to make sure that it's something that they're going to be comfortable with. Obviously, there's varying degrees in between. Like, even PG sometimes has some moments that's like, ooh, that's rough, to throw in those little bits that just kind of make you kind of clinch and be like, ooh, is he going to survive? Is he going to die? That kind of thing. Now, the reason why these three topics are so important, as together, because it's really going to give flesh and blood to your plot. So you've got your plot, which is like the skeleton. Your setting, theme, and your mood are going to give it the flesh. It's really going to flesh it out. It's going to make it a real world and a real place that your characters are going to want to go, which is going to lead to a better, more enriching experience for you and your players. All right, gamers. So that's it. We talked about the setting, theme, and the mood. Definitely, if you've got more questions, either put them in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer. There's also tons of books and web articles about settings and themes, moods, even Wikipedia. Go look at Wikipedia on those different topics, and it can give you some ideas as well. But they're really important if you want to make your story last in the minds of your players. 20 years from now, are they going to remember this story that you're writing now? If you do, then you did, fantastic job. For me, that gives me a great sense of accomplishment as a storyteller. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, hit that like button. Also hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Don't forget to hit that bell icon to get instant notifications when I upload new videos. But until I see you again in the dungeon, I'm Brian, your Game Master, and happy gaming.